been able to maintain that.
Right.
That's something that we would want more specific.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, and to me, I think the difference is that with our general fund, that money comes from levies, which is a consistent dollar amount, and the state legislature to the extent that that's consistent, but it's a predictable dollar amount every year, so we can say, whereas the bond, as we just went through a bond sale, right, it wildly goes up and down, and so to say a percentage in a year like this year where we're going to sell this massive amount of bonds, if we're saying it has to have 3%, that's a much bigger dollar number than next year when we don't sell the bonds. So I guess I would be curious how we would set that in when we have a fund account that's such a variable year to year. I think you would have to come up with a dollar amount.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, just sort of thinking out loud. The percentage would be challenging.
So I would view it as a floor by which, you know, that we wouldn't draw the UNR down lower than this specific floor. So for instance, you know, as we look to perhaps pick up property for future schools that weren't envisioned as a part of a specific bond measure, we have the UNR as a resource to draw that, but if there was a threshold beyond which we wouldn't draw the UNR down under any circumstances, or there would have to be special action on the board to go below that amount because there was some rare opportunity that presented itself.
That's what I'm thinking, because otherwise I don't even know really what this policy really means then if we don't have, there's no way to really monitor it if we don't have some dollar amount there. And then like you said, if we go below a certain amount, if we needed to go below a certain amount because we were in crisis or because it was like some special property or something, then that's when it could trigger the board to say, oh, wait a second, we're at this level, we need to, you know,
So maybe
look
we
at
could
it.
get a little research on what it has been, where that floor has been over maybe the last 5 to 10 years, what that looks like, and know where our comfort level is for that.
It's fluctuated.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get a sense of.
It fluctuates as well as we complete projects and state match money, which always is a trailer, you know, comes in. So
that may be why it might be interesting to see before we try to set it.
Maybe what other school districts like us.
In some ways, this is a tough one because I think what this says to me is that they are being proactive and making sure that there's an adequate balance for the needs of the moment, and they're so different and they change so rapidly. That's a hard one. Interesting question.
Maybe that's a starting place, just to see what it's looked like over the last 5 to 10 years.
Because instead of here we have something, you know, like the cleanup that had to happen in the art room in Bridger High School that was several $100,000. I mean, heaven forbid, we're at a point where we haven't, God willing, had to ask for any more bonds for a while, and the fund has gotten very low, and then something out of control happens. I mean, that's the reason why the general fund has a threshold.
that's a good example. That was general fund dollars, but it's a
So
similar example. Portables or roof fails or something that would be a clear capital expenditure. Well, we'll take a look at sort of what the balance over time has been. But it sounds like what I'm hearing is maybe there's a comfort level of just having a fixed dollar amount in there that would set a minimum bar at which the unreserved amount couldn't be drawn down below that unless there was specific action on the board to do so. Kind of what I'm hearing.
And we may never get near that threshold, but having a minimum seems
Right,
like a good
right.
idea.
Sure.
It's like a minimum in my checking account.
Right?
You hope you never get down that far. Right? If you do, yeah.
Right.
Any other questions or discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll go to the next agenda item, which is first reading of the 2000